Hey folks, so I just got done shooting a video about the killing of the United Healthcare CEO, and as I sat down at my computer to begin editing it, I saw reported widely across social media that the police now have a suspect for that killing in custody. Now, that doesn't change anything that I say in the bit that I already recorded, so after I'm done running my yap here, I'm just going to show you what I shot earlier because it still applies even in light of this new development. But it is a major new development in the story, and since I had the opportunity to record this and mention something about it to you here, it would have felt weird to not do that. So this is me telling you that in the few minutes since I got done shooting the video I'm about to show you, they, or at least I found out that they have arrested a guy who is suspected of being the killer of the United Healthcare CEO. So, and you know, innocent until proven guilty. We can't say that this is for sure the guy, but from what I've been reading about it in what's been reported so far, it sure looks like this is the guy. He's probably the guy. So, you know, for his sake, I hope it was worth it. And I kind of suspect that it was. But anyway, here's what I had to say about it earlier. I want to start by reading you a fake tweet. This is a fake tweet attributed to Elon Musk, and I will explain why I'm reading it to you after I read it to you. It has been brought to my attention that some Americans are actually cheering for the gunman who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and that they are saying this is a warning to all CEOs. What these people fail to understand is that without CEOs, the world would not be able to function. And as CEOs, we are responsible for the delicate balancing act of generating profits for shareholders while also ensuring that shareholders are able to maintain their own personal wealth, even in spite of the typical corporate laziness and greed of middle management and their staff. America will be destitute without us. Hashtag Doge. So again, fake tweet. Elon Musk didn't actually write that, and I believe the post on Threads where that fake tweet was originally shared has since been deleted. But the reason why I read it to you is because even though Elon Musk didn't actually write that, the attitude that that fake tweet is attempting to satirize is real. Like, you do see CEOs or people who are sort of taking the pro-CEO side in the aftermath of the killing of the CEO of United Healthcare. You see them expressing similar sentiments, and also you hear them expressing just a general sort of dismay at the killing of the CEO of United Healthcare itself, and in the somewhat celebratory response that many people have had to it on the internet. There's not a lot of tears being shed for this murdered CEO, are there? And I think some of the pro-business folks, some of the folks who are more upset than most of the rest of us at this crime are sort of, you know, they're shaking their heads in disapproval, and they're wondering, like, what has happened to our society? Why? How can something like this happen? And then so many people seem not merely indifferent to the murder of this man, but absolutely jubilant. They're happy. They're glad that this man was murdered. This man who has a wife, who has children. This is a human being. Have we grown so callous and cold? Has our politics driven us so far apart from one another that so many of us will actually take pleasure in seeing a fellow human being, a precious life, a light, a unique candle in this world snuffed out on the street? Is that what has become of us? And to anyone who is watching this, and you may have that attitude, I would like, from my point of view, to attempt to explain why so many people are kind of glad that this guy got killed, and are sort of approving of not just the crime itself, but of what it represents. And if you are a CEO or someone of the same general economic status of the CEO, and you are worried about things like this happening again and becoming more frequent, maybe some suggestions for what you could do to prevent things like this from happening in the future. So first of all, I think it might be helpful to think of the killing of this healthcare insurance company CEO in kind of the same way that people who have studied the subject for many years think about terrorism, right? When there is a major horrific act of terrorism that is perpetrated somewhere in the world, especially if it's perpetrated here in the United States or some other Western country, because that's usually the only time that folks like us actually pay attention to it. But let's say a terrible terrorist act is committed, like a 9/11 or something, maybe not quite that big, but in that area. Like it's terrorists have attacked a target and hundreds or thousands of people have died. And now the question is, why has this happened? What can we do about this? And people who study terrorism and who have become experts on it will tell you that if you are going to address the problem of terrorism, you can't just address it on the level of finding and capturing or killing these terrorists. You need to do that, but you also need to take a broader view and a more long-term view. And if you don't do that, then what you are doing is you are merely pursuing a short-term solution to a much longer-term problem. Because what you need to do in order to address the problem at its root is not merely discover the individuals responsible for this particular act of terrorism, but you need to try and understand why. What factors led these people to become terrorists in the first place? And if you don't identify those factors and then do something to change those factors so that more people will not be similarly inspired to become terrorists, then all you're doing is taking care of the terrorists that you find now, but you're also continuing to make new terrorists that you will have to deal with in the future. Think about what the American healthcare insurance industry does. Think about the nature of their business. What a healthcare insurance company like United Healthcare does is it sells a product to people, which they pay for, on the understanding that that product will be available for them if they should ever need it. And then the company relentlessly searches for excuses to stop the people who paid for that product from being able to use the product if they should ever need it. And the product is the promise that the insurance company will help you to pay your medical bills. That's the product that you are buying. That's what you're paying into when you pay for an insurance policy. And there are entire sections of healthcare insurance companies full of people whose job it is to make sure that you don't ever get to use that product, that they get to take your money and add it to their big pile of money. But when you need to take some of that money for yourself to pay for needed healthcare, their job is to stop you from doing it. Their job is to come up with a reason why they can say, actually, no, we're going to deny your request to take some of this money out of the big pile. We've decided that your request is invalid, and we are not going to honor that request, and we are not actually going to allow you to access the product you've been paying for all this time. We're not going to help you pay those medical bills. And the reason they do this, the reason they deny coverage to people, the reason they deny to pay on claims for people is because the more they do that, the more money they make. When you look at it that way and you realize that that is the nature of the health insurance business as it is currently run, Is it really a mystery why someone would want to kill the CEO of one of those companies? Like, is it really a mystery when you realize, as many people in this country do realize and have realized for many, many years, many people have lived the reality of this, when you realize that it's legal in this country, not just legal, but incredibly profitable to commodify health, to commodify someone's life, and be able to charge a person for the ability to continue to live, for the ability to protect their health, for the ability to treat an ailment that they have that is significantly affecting their quality of life, or that is threatening their life, or is threatening the life of their child or someone else that they love, that they have theoretically covered in this healthcare policy that they are paying for. The very nature of the American health insurance industry is immoral, is morally indefensible. Do you really need to go very far to figure out why someone might have wanted to do this? It's really no mystery. There's a class of people in this country who have gotten incredibly rich by finding excuses to let people die when theoretically their job, the product they are selling, is something that is meant to help people not die. So if you're one of these people, if you are a health insurance industry CEO or someone who is sympathetic to them, and you'd like to come up with some way of addressing this problem, of preventing this, of trying to stop the next healthcare insurance CEO assassination before it happens, consider this. By profiting from and defending that system where you make more money the more times you don't pay for necessary healthcare for people, you have created a system where people in your class don't seem to care if people in the lower class die. Those people, much like this United Healthcare CEO, have families, have spouses, have children, have people they love and who love them, people who are dependent on them, people who are going to miss them when they're gone, people whose lives will be forever changed, perhaps ruined by their deaths. Those people are just as real as this CEO who was killed. But if you don't care about them, why should any of the rest of us care about you? Again, not saying that I approve of this guy killing the CEO, but I am saying I get it. And I am saying, in light of the evil that is perpetrated on a daily basis by the industry of which that CEO was a part, an evil that, taken on the whole, vastly outweighs the evil of this single act of murder. I'm sorry, but I can't really be all that mad at the guy who killed this CEO. He has the blood of one person on his hands. How many people's blood does the CEO of United Healthcare do? The now former CEO of United Healthcare. How many people's blood does he have on his hands? And whose crime is really more worthy of our condemnation and our moral outrage? The guy who broke the law and did something wrong, did something heinous, did something that is unacceptable in our society, and murdered someone? Or the person who led the company that makes people rich from allowing people to die every single day? I mean, if you're going to weigh the morality of those two, who's better and who's worse? And to me, it's a pretty easy choice. Without condoning murder, it's a pretty easy choice. So if you want to prevent this kind of thing from happening, take a look at your role in bringing acts like this about. It doesn't mean that you deserve it. I would never say that. I would never say that the CEOs of healthcare insurance companies deserve to be gunned down in the street. Far be it for me to ever claim the right to make that judgment. But you have lived your lives and conducted your business in such a way that it has created a world, created a circumstance that encourages people to act out violently against you. Perhaps because they feel they have been left no other alternative, because they are frequently completely at your mercy. And the only option left to them, as they see it, is to act out in violence. And they didn't create that situation. You created that situation. You as a group, your industry, your companies, the way you do business, the way you set your priorities. You have created that circumstance. Not the guy who shot the CEO. And since you created it, you have the power to change it. And I know that changing it will not be easy at this point. And I know a lot of you have gotten very comfortable with things the way they are. But I also know that a lot of you are very worried about what's going to happen next in the wake of this shooting. So now you have a decision to make. Now you have some options to weigh. It's not going to be easy to change your business, to change the way you do things, or perhaps even to change your outlook on life. It's going to be difficult. It's going perhaps even to be a little expensive for some of you. But if you're really, really worried about this crime, about the killing of this CEO, and you're worried that this may become a pattern, that perhaps you or one of your colleagues will be threatened by crimes like this going forward, if you're really worried about that, you have the power to change the circumstances that led to this. And if you would really like to prevent future incidents like this, I guess the question you have to ask yourselves is, how much are your lives worth?